Yeah, kick one back, Matt. Wait, I was going to as well. There it is. Yeah, a little bit of cherry coke.
Ooh, cherry coke. I have a kombucha.
Kombucha? What the hell is that?
It's you don't know what kombucha is?
No. What is kombucha, Matt?
Oh my god. It's it's kombucha cultures with sparkling water and fruit.
You're off to a good start. You're like, I know exactly what it is. It is kombucha cultures, bubble water. No, Matt, go ahead. Ask me what's in cherry coke.
What's in cherry coke?
Cherry and Coke. Hi, everybody, and welcome to a promo parlay. Yes, I did have the wrong tab open. QAnon unmasking. Man, this is going to be a Kenny Omega conquering episode of the Brothers of Discussion. We're going to talk AEW, getting us primed for next week's Blood and Guts. Yeah, it's going to be viscera just strewn about. Matt, we're going to talk again. It's the second time we've mentioned him in one start. Kenny Omega dominating the wrestling landscape, much to Don Callis' enjoyment, I'm sure. Matt, we're going to talk some weird shenanigans involving what was a top NXT official, and it's pretty nauseating. We're going to talk the idea. We're going to bring it back down to something exciting, something we'd be happy about. An all-women's division. Woo! And then, my God, we're going to make time for the return of Aleister Black. He didn't even change his name or anything. They just gave him some glasses. Man, maybe we'll have time for more, time permitting. How the heck are you? It's another week. It's been spicy. It's been hot. It's cold again. It was sunny. Now it's gray. Matt, your thoughts on the week?
It was. I like how you always put it, another tasty week. I'm still struggling with the water damage in the house. I can't believe I'm negotiating now with our insurance adjuster with what they'll allow us to do with our house that's destroyed. It's insane. But everybody, head on over to bodpodcast.com, brothersofdiscussion.com. We have our brand new T-shirt series, and Mr. Warren Hayes is here. He wants us to speak about our good buddy Wuertz and all the shenanigans. We'll start with shenanigans. But yeah, we'll get to that in just a sec, I promise. Over to our shop page. We have a brand new series of T-shirts. I'm hoping you're all going to check out. It's our hot tag series. So it says we have less BS, more hot tags. We have less talking, more hot tags, less one-on-one, more hot tags. Of course, in reference to our favorite segment, Mike, that you still do. I don't do enough of them, but our hot tag segments. Hot tag wrestling. Less
Drake Wuertz, more hot tags. That'll be our next shirt. Very excited for that.
So, Mike, since we have the people clamoring, I think we have a good first topic to jump into. I wanted to do
Black
something
and glasses?
Fun. I wanted to do something fun and talk about Kenny Omega and the world of pro wrestling changing, but
no.
Let's back up.
Let's do it, man.
Did you get a chance to watch the video of Drake Wuertz going on a QAnon-fueled rant?
Luckily, I only read the transcript. I didn't have to hear this word vomit out loud.
So,
man, can you fill the people in? What happened here?
All right, so everybody's caught up. There's mask mandates across the planet, right?
Right.
And of course, there's one state in the United States that seems to be a problem all the time, and of course, it's Florida. Mike Drake Wuertz used to be the head official with NXT. Since then, it's been reported by what's his name, Sean Ross Sapp.
Yep.
Right? I get that right. That he was demoted. But the reason being, and as this news has been spreading, of course, his opinions on things that are being brought up by QAnon. We have former NXT wrestlers that have, like Take, who's gone onto Twitter to discuss the fact that he's not surprised by the video that came out. So I bring that up to say this is something that all the performers are aware of, that this guy's a psycho moron. Let's say moron. I mean, the the fact that he was demoted means that the WWE is fully aware that this guy could be trouble. But what he did and what came out this week was, now I'm not 1,000% sure if this actually happened during a wrestling taped program, but Wuertz went to a Seminole County Board of County Commissioners Zoom call and asked for the mask mandate to be stopped and asked for a city official to be taken out of his position. Doing this while like in tears, sobbing and saying this mask mandate puts vulnerable children at risk for being preyed upon by traffickers because nonverbal cues are often a first sign for distress. He argued that masks cover those signs of distress and child traffickers love masks. Look, this is something that is confirmed to have come from QAnon. This is something that's being made up because they want the mask mandates to stop. There is no truth to any of this. There's no evidence to any of this. And Mike, this is a guy who was in a pretty prominent position on NXT, and thankfully he's been removed. Now, there's another little wrinkle to this that some of the former NXT performers, again, I don't think Tucky was one of them that said this, but the other idea that's floating around is because these QAnon views are connected to conservative beliefs, and we know how the WWE, at its core, is conservative. Yeah. That's why he's yet to be removed from the company completely. But now that this video came out, hopefully, so we'll just wait for that to happen. But here's the thing. Now we have evidence. This video is horrifying. Also horrifying because there's people that are applauding at the end of his rant, and it's disgusting. Like, there's people that showed up to the Zoom call to make sure that he knew that, you know, man, there's good people behind you. No, Mike, there's so many different ways to pick this apart, but from a pro wrestling perspective, there's wrestlers that are saying they knew that this was true. Why in God's name is this moron allowed to like enter the performance center and hold on to a job?
So I am actually going to take the other side. I'm shocked that WWE has done anything to this guy involving any kind of lessons being taught here, where we're quieting him, reducing his role. Man, this is a company that just this past Monday Night Raw, you can watch Jackson Riker surviving the healthy list of WWE cuts. We saw Lars Sullivan get multiple chances after the hate-filled, Reddit posts that existed out there. This is a company that allowed Hulk Hogan to host WrestleMania this year. There's so many other legends we could have given that spot to, but for whatever reason, they keep trotting Hogan out there. He's getting booed. The first live crowd in over a year. What did they say? A year, a week, and a day. Yeah. And they booed Hulk Hogan. They booed the start of WrestleMania because he was there. They created Retribution, which, as much as we love the guys, and they were part of it, and now that they're unmasked and almost free, we're very happy for all the members. But when they were created, it was a weird reaction to, violent. They're not protest groups. They were like just people taking advantage of peaceful protests and destroying, neighborhoods. I have a friend in Seattle, Washington, who was, she can barely leave her house, and it's still like that today. Like 10 months after what happened, and Retribution was created as a heel gimmick as a reaction to that. So I guess I'm stunned to hear that quietly WWE has been disciplining a guy for kind of supporting QAnon. I'm shocked that this is where they draw the line. It is pretty ridiculous if you have the time, and my God, we all have like 8, 9 streaming networks. And if HBO is not one of those 8 or 9, you should put it on the list. They have some pretty interesting documentaries on QAnon and, all the world leaders drinking baby blood and, all the weird, Tom Hanks is a pedophile, all that nonsense. Hopefully that, that's not edited out of context, because we do not believe that at all.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that stuff. They'll find it, clip it, and say, "Hey, the brothers of discussion are on our side."
Hey, you gotta add to that subscription list. You know what I mean? All right. No, we're
Wherever
not
we
stoop.
can get it.
We're not gonna stoop. We're not gonna stoop. But yeah, I'm honestly stunned because he was disciplined before this story broke. I literally at a loss for words. I did not think that WWE would be progressive about something, let alone this. It feels like something they would almost, give credence to. I don't know if you want to say that, like a conspiracy theory character like Sami Zayn, if they're trying to say that he's, kind of inspired by, some of these things floating around, but he's such a responsible storyteller. He has never, ever made me feel like he's trying to do a QAnon character. He's just been his own, version of a conspiracy theorist. So man, that's my bottom line. I'm just stunned that WWE did that.
Yeah, I guess from my point of view and from some of the NXT wrestlers that have said, I can't believe he still has a job. It just kind of looks like to me like they did something to like, all right, we got to do something here, but we're not going to get rid of you. We can't just put you on the street for being a QAnon follower like that. That's where it still bugs me. And honestly, I'm not a fan. I'd like to see him just gone. And I think, it's David Bixenspan, Danhausen, who put out that video, so I saw it, and he is a fantastic follow. He's a good guy. He's from Detroit, a little pro wrestler who's featured on Conan O'Brien recently. That gets shared. He's got 45,000 followers.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that like this is the kind of thing that needed to happen. Like this certainly would be. I mean, I'm not running a company. Besides the Brothers of Discussion, but I'm not running a company the size of the WWE. But I mean, if I see the issues with QAnon, I see that I heard, Mike, in that video, there were a ton of people that were applauding and cheering for Drake Wuertz. That terrifies the bejesus out of me. I talked about it with my wife, and I said, can you imagine if one of these psychopaths sneaks into office somewhere? And I say that, and I immediately, then you take it back and you go, oh, wait, there probably are these effing morons everywhere. And that's horrifying. So what I would do is make it like, I would make a show of it. I would say this guy's getting released, and it's because he follows this horrible, terrible thing called QAnon that just spreads all of this bullshit. Yeah, and Mike, I mean, one of our biggest nights in Twitter history was when I tweeted out how, the Tom Hanks thing. And then the next morning we had like 1,000 retweets because QAnon people got a hold of our Twitter account. And they didn't like that we liked Tom Hanks. It's like, how are there thousands of people that are just constantly searching for the likes of Tom Hanks to make sure that people are aware of their dumb, celebrities eat babies to find youth?
As much as we joked about, anything for the subscriptions, we're not going to stoop to that. It almost feels like WWE has kind of quietly disciplined him, but not outright released him so that he can't, gather the QAnon masses against WWE. And I'm excited for more news to come out, I guess, because could it actually be that they took a responsible stance on this? And if they made it a huge issue, it would be like bringing to light this mad conspiracy that, as you heard from the applause, is not as few and far between in believers as you would hope.
Because I think it's something that when we keep pushing it under the rug, it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. And we need to say, these companies need to say, enough is enough. This isn't real. There's no evidence with anything that QAnon has ever said. It's all just fear-based to scare people into believing in things that are only going to hurt more people. I think it needs to be said. People need to be punished for following this. I think it's that bad. I think it breeds so much. I mean, I guess I'm fearful of it, but I'm fearful of what, the big thing that it's going to be. Like this is the same kind of thing with like anti-vaxxers. Like that could be extremely harmful to the population of Earth. That idea. This isn't something that's silly like flat earthers. Like this kind of thing needs to be brought to light. People are still not aware of how terrible QAnon is. And they need to see the types of things that they're doing and saying and the people that it affects and turn it around on them. Make this a punishable offense. Because
I get where you're coming from. I almost feel like we get so much like media and content, it feels like it would just kind of get swept over. And bringing it up would almost be like, don't think about pink elephant, and now that what is QAnon? And then you kind of look it up and, kind of give it the time of day and gets likes on YouTube or views. And then suddenly it's part of your ads and suddenly it's, all over your, social media accounts. And I don't know. I even feel guilty talking about it now. It is ridiculous. Please snuff this out. I hope that culturally we can snuff this out. Matt, is that the final point on this one?
I guess that's really my big thing is I think the opposite. I always feel like you bring attention to this stuff and say how dumb it is. You're supposed to keep saying how there's no evidence to this.
So
I've had conversations with loved ones recently where I've brought up things that came up from them that they didn't realize. And I did a quick Google search and said, well, here's the truth to that. And that person stopped and changed their mind. And they went, okay, no, you're right. I didn't know that. And that's how I'm just trying to keep who I'm talking about safe. But that was true. It just happened this past week. And it's just one of those things where if we could keep talking about it, then the truth can come out. And I think there's too much there's too many people sitting at home just reading Reddit and they're not going out and speaking face to face with another human being. And are we face to face? Well, right now we're as close as you can get. So I'm pleading with the people. If anybody,
man, there'd be more face to face if QAnon won. No more masks.
Now I'm going to clip out and that's our ad for tomorrow. That's
No, don't make that the ad. I'm going to be too famous on the QAnon Reddit posts. Can we talk a little wrestling? This is really bumming me out. All this QAnon stuff.
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, before we get into Kenny Omega, I just love that Aleister Black is back on our TVs. I liked your analogy. I thought he was going for kind of more of a Jeffrey Dahmer look with kind of the thin wire glasses. And again, kind of leaning on those monologues. It's insane how much WWE is we want guys to go for brass rings. We want guys, who are storytellers, and they try and make a poor, Cesaro do a 3-act play, and now they've had it, defer to Daniel Bryan to help tell the story. And Aleister Black is a fantastic storyteller, and he, just keeps disappearing on these what's multiple of hiatuses. I'm glad he's back. Matt, what were your thoughts on the return of Mr. Black?
All right, so my big thing with this is that they took the time to put an animated video together to help tell his story. And this goes back to how excited we were about The Fiend, and we weren't sure what it was going to turn into. I still say it was a success, even though a lot of people have pulled back. But it's something where they're putting time and effort into a pro wrestler that we respect a ton and we think has all the talent in the world. So a lot of time and effort went into that. And that's incredible to see. It's not just something where they did an off the cut, in the back vignette. and he's got an open door or a closed door or whatever. I can't even remember what that was at this point. It was so bad.
Yeah.
Right. You know what's funny? I always thought that was his thing. I thought they were saying that his little thing was standing up. I didn't even think that was the door.
Oh yeah, I thought it was a creaky mechanism also. Like
yeah. Was
like
that the door the whole time that he was referring to? Okay, anyway.
Yeah, like he needed some Tin Man oil can. Like I thought that's what was going on.
But yeah, that's the best point to take from this is that they see Aleister Black has, I don't want to say potential because that
he's not a lackey or a sidekick, right? He's not he's not coming out Jackson Riker style. He's not backing up Bad Bunny. He's his own man. And he gets his own, little gimmick there at the animated production. So there's hope.
Yeah, something to be very excited about if you're an Aleister Black fan. And as we see more, I hope that they double down on the little animation. And like I said, my view of what was going on, I saw somebody else post this, but he looked like the bad guy from Far Cry.
Matt, hot tag.
Oh, maybe I should do it now again since we have T-shirts.
So I feel like Aleister Black didn't quite get as popular as he could have because his T-shirts suck. And it would just say, like, fade to black. Matt, hot tag, you off the cuff, come up with an Aleister Black T-shirt. Go.
I pictured like a metal album where it looks like you broke up a leather couch and it's got all those scraggly lines, and then in the middle it says Aleister Black. I don't know.
All right. Matt, I'm going to do another pun with his name. Instead of fade to black, we're going to do Aleister the Pot. And we're going to have a big pot of evil tentacles and black soup. And then he's going to come out and pour it on somebody and boil their heads.
That's on a T-shirt?
It's one of those 3D graphic T-shirts. When you move it, you can see the squid reach out and pour the hot oil. Okay. It's a complicated shirt. But the Aleister... we're leaning on the stir. So, well, this is why he won't get over it, because his name is not good for T-shirts. Okay. Matt, you put in the notes here in our wrestling nuggies. Charlotte is back.
Yeah.
Now, did you mean like goddess Charlotte? I think that's what you're alluding to. Am I wrong?
Well, they talked about her being suspended, and that
lasted 6 days.
Right. So she gave Dave Meltzer quite a hard time for him suggesting that she was getting a complete makeover, and was inferring that there were going to be there was going to be a surgery. I can't think of the word. It's not a surgery. It's anyways.
A procedure.
Yeah, procedure. Thank you. Anyways, Dave Meltzer was an idiot, and I just thought that this was fun. That this just proves what a moron he really is, and how baseless all of his bullshit is. But I thought this was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like her new look a lot. I love her heel character. When she had the referee, apologize to her, that was great. But as far as if that suspension, I don't know if they kind of pivoted, when the Meltzer hit the fan, if you will, and they were basically like, okay, we don't want to give any credence to this moron. Let's just get her back on TV and we'll just nix the whole suspension idea. If that's what they were doing, that's a fantastic reaction, and bravo to those writers for not, even giving a hint of, oh, he was right. We got to write her off for a little while. So love that she came right back.
And Daddy DeVille's mixed in there too.
Yeah. I haven't realized, since Charlotte made the point, how, I don't think she's the Ric Flair of the division. She definitely feels more like the Triple H, where it just feels like whenever she's there, she's part of the main event scene, and it doesn't feel wrong. It feels like she is, the female game, and she should be towards the top of the card, be involved in all the main feuds. So, yeah, she should be fighting Asuka. She should be fighting Rhea Ripley. But I'm not upset about that at all. I'm digging the part, by the way, on the side. Big fan of that. Looks good.
Mike,
Hit me.
Kyle Pitts is off the board. Atlanta took him. I was kind of hoping Lions.
Oh, what a relief! All right, we almost got another top 10 tight end.
I would have been happy with that.
Yeah,
all right. What else do we have here, Mike? Do you want to talk about Kenny Omega now, or do you want to talk about? Do you have any problems with how they're telling the Cesaro story? Because I saw this popping up on Twitter that we do have some folks that are not happy that Cesaro's not just able to tell his own story. And I think right now what they're building is something where Cesaro is going to be at some point able to break free of that, like really maybe even take out Daniel Bryan, who's been his tag team partner, which maybe that doesn't make a ton of sense, but I have to sell that frustration starting to build and all these opportunities that Cesaro has to talk, that he gets a chance to tell his own story. How do you feel? Because I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I've been rewatching Tarantino movies, and there was in Pulp Fiction. Remember, there's that whole sidetrack about the pilot with the God, what were they, like the Fast Five? There's the 5 female fighters, and they all had a special skill. One was really good with knives, and one was really good at disguises. And Uma Thurman could, she's the funny one. She could do the joke. Cesaro is not the joke guy. He's not great with disguises, but if you need a submission to feel like you're getting stabbed with knives, he's your man. So I mean, we've created the Hurt Business for Bobby Lashley because his promos are still, he doesn't have the most, terrifying voice. MVP is very intimidating. Great move. So I just let Cesaro be pound for pound the strongest guy in the roster. Do the UFO and just give him a mouthpiece. Let somebody else help tell that story, because it's okay. It's not his, best attribute, cutting the promos. But my God, does he do some incredibly, unique, one-of-a-kind offensive maneuvers. So he should be wrestling, but I think he just needs a little help with the storytelling. And I don't think he should be ashamed to admit that. It's not the only WWE, talent who might be deficient in that one particular area. So you lean on somebody who can. I don't have a beef with it. I just whenever WWE kind of picks and chooses, who they're going to give a mouthpiece to, at some point, can we give Cesaro one of those mouthpieces just once?
And that's funny too, because people were sharing this past week, who's better, the Triple H guys or Paul Heyman guys? And then I forgot that they tried Paul Heyman and Cesaro, and I was just like, man, they actually did give this guy, like, they did attempt that hard main event push, and it didn't, they, for whatever reason, still didn't let it catch. And part of it, I think, was at the time he was still doing, was he still doing the James Bond entrance, or was that the first time we saw, or no, that was the siren, right? That's when he came out to that siren. That was annoying.
That was a horrible theme. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, I think it's just something. We love Cesaro. I don't think, like we've talked before about, or at least I've talked before, I won't put your name on this, about guys like Chad Gable, and they're still mentioned on, I just saw this past week, pretty prominent source in wrestling journalism, at least from a Twitter perspective, said, oh my God, Chad Gable, please give him a main event push. To me, I just don't see it. I don't see the promo work. I don't see the same kind of passion that I'd like to see him give off. I think he has passion, but when he does promos, I don't feel it. And I at least want to feel it in the promos if I'm going to believe a main event push. We've seen it with Cesaro. So I guess I'm just calling out my own retread of the same, casting is key with all this stuff. And we have seen Cesaro do some pretty good segments. And right now they have that ability with the Thunderdome to just turn that fake crowd noise down and just let Cesaro talk. And I think he'd be all better for it. I think that's an experiment they should give a shot to. But until they do that and they just trust him, he's still going to be like arm's length away from the main event. And I still like, or I don't mind it starting out like this, but I still come back to this idea that they need to sell like frustrations building, and they're like maybe touching on real life where they've been pushing him away from the main event through different creative storytelling. And eventually Cesaro's just got to uppercut his way into it himself.
Yeah. And my God, can we get a real band to do his entrance theme? Come on. It's been, what, a decade now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think actually another big story this week was Jim Johnston was saying that all the new WWE themes are terrible. He thinks they're all just generic, like repeats of the same sounds. I can't tell you the last one. So I loved AJ's, I loved Nakamura's, but we know that wasn't necessarily straight up.
Rhea Ripley's slaps. The Brutality song, that
one's pretty sweet. Yeah, that's
when they rebooted Naomi, man, that song slaps. I love that song.
Yeah,
that song fucking rules.
That's true. I do like that one.
We got to decide if Jim Johnson, what kind of time gap are we talking? Because it's, this year you would have to also just pick like, a wrestler. And I don't know about the debuts, be like Damian Priest, and his is just kind of
I think you could say that Rhea Ripley's probably stands out because there are so many boring ones. I can't remember actually all of them like I could when we were kids, and we would just sit there, play with the action figures and do the whole theme.
I kind of disagree with you because I thought who's your boy with the mustache on NXT? Dexter Lumis. I think when they kind of busted out that it was like a tweak of the Stranger Things theme. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Actually, it's great for his character too. But I do like I think maybe if he pulled back and said it wasn't like the worst era in wrestling music, and instead said these particular wrestlers need a better song, like Kyle O'Reilly. Holy crap. That's boring as like that. That's something that I have no attachment to Kyle O'Reilly at all right now. It's just, some guy strumming on an electric guitar, and it's like, okay, I guess he's tough and cool. That's what we're doing. like that one's not fun. So yeah, Jim, just, pull back, step away from everything's black and white. Throw some gray in there. Just let us know who you want fixed next time. Like Kyle. All right.
Are we calling him? Are we still calling him Kyle O'Reilly or Kyle Orange Cassidy since he's stealing his whole look?
So, Mike, I don't know if you know this, but every Canadian wears a denim tuxedo. So I feel like Orange Cassidy stole it from Canada first. It's just kind of like, where do you want to draw the line?
Is there a lot of hand wringing in Canada? Is
that
where Warren can come in? Where's our man on the street?
That's remember the old Seinfeld episode? That was oh my gosh, what did they call it? Whatever, the Canadian tuxedo. Oh, maybe that was it. Maybe it was the Canadian tuxedo.
Yeah.
The guy from Kids in the Hall was trying to go out with Elaine.
Dave Foley?
No, a guy with the curly hair.
Oh,
he has kind of the high pitched voice.
Yeah,
me neither.
Damn it.
Yeah. Elaine. All right. Back to pro wrestling. We need to have a pop culture show. I'm dying to talk about. I hate to say this on our pro wrestling program, but oh my god, I want to talk about some other TV shows. And Falcon and Winter Soldier. I really like that last episode. I'm disappointed in America for giving that such low ratings. I've never fallen in love more with a superhero than
it was a rough
Falcon.
pilot. It was a rough pilot, but it really got. It really rose like a falcon at the end.
Oh yeah, it took off. That's what you should have said.
Yeah.
Anyhoozles. Yeah, so you don't want to talk about that apparently. Kenny Omega, Mike, is the Impact World Heavyweight Champion. Takes down Rich Swann. Mike, he has titles in AAA, Impact, and AEW. Couple of thoughts. First of all, Mike, before we get into this changing pro wrestling, I thought this was a a neat little, I guess, present to unwrap here for what this does truly mean for all of pro wrestling, because AEW's Twitter account, or I shouldn't just say their Twitter account, even on Dynamite, this didn't get a lot of attention. So I don't know what, I think that idea actually changes what's going on here. And it changes the perspective, because this is something that happened on Impact. It didn't happen on AEW, and AEW still talked about, in the last episode of Dynamite before this happened, Hangman Page getting his shot against Kenny Omega and the fact that he was a number one contender. And very little of the conversation came back to Kenny Omega becoming the Impact Heavyweight Champion. I mean, it was something that before it was booked, before we saw the results, it was almost like AEW was still trying to make sure that you were focused on the AEW brand instead of trying to help elevate who their top superstar is, Kenny Omega. So then the next question would be, what is going on with all of these relationships? I think what we can pull from that, unless it all changes, is that this really is focused on the pro wrestlers being able to build their own brand, rather than this helping AEW or Impact. I would say the most. I think this helped Kenny Omega's brand more than anybody. And I tweeted out the night that happened, because our friend of the show, Mr. Warren Hayes, tweeted, "I can't believe how many people are upset about this result." And I said, well, this is the ideal. This is where the pro wrestler stands above his brand. So I guess I threw that in there first to I threw that first question in there to kind of mix it up a little bit. Are we just going to sit here and say this is good for pro wrestling? Because it is. It's fantastic for pro wrestling. So really, maybe that I just threw in that question more or less as evidence as to my point that this is better for pro wrestling than it is for the brands. And that's a good thing, because the pro wrestlers are the ones that put their necks on the line. So that's what we should ultimately be looking for.
I think for the benefit of the wrestlers, this is the best way to go. Definitely, by the more titles they keep giving Kenny Omega, that definitely lets me know that at some point Tony Khan and all these other guys who run these other companies are in a room discussing what it's going to be like to kind of trade off, wrestlers and bringing in guys and sending out guys and building these bridges, and basically having a whole community of wrestling promotions sharing talent. Because at some point Kenny Omega is going to have to defend all those titles. He's not just going to carry them. So I don't know if that means that, we're going to start seeing all these guys from other promotions coming in to challenge him on AEW, Dynamites, or if it's going to end up being on pay-per-views, cross-promotional pay-per-views. That's
the big change, right?
Yeah. Scary for us, because I don't know what that means for our wallets if we have to start investing in a whole bunch of other companies' pay-per-views. So hopefully they get a streaming network together and, help us out a little bit budget-wise. But, this definitely feels, it's not, you put it all on a familiar name like Kenny, so then you can kind of start to get everybody else over when they start wrestling him. Because I definitely, these guys have seen what it's like to work for WWE, where the company is always bigger than you. So even if you get cut, they would rather you have a non-compete clause and not build yourself up while you still have your WWE name recognition. They would rather pay you to do that than have you go work for AEW the next week, because they would look at that as egg on their face. And it's something that was kind of interesting, because I know the NBA's easily turning into that. The way these players have finally said, we're tired of, just whatever being at the whims of some owner and some manager. We want to have some control and some stake in our lives. We're putting our bodies on the line. We're putting in just, years and years of blood, sweat, and tears and working out and missing family stuff to, either play this sport or, go in the ring and wrestle. So yeah, I do want to play with my best friend. I don't care what it takes. You make it happen or I'm not playing. And for the wrestlers to kind of, feels like, they're kind of going to be joining that empowerment era, because that's where we're at in the NBA. For wrestlers to be in that empowerment era, to have control of their careers, to not feel like, you can't go wrestle your buddy in Japan for a week. We have a very exciting Jon Moxley match coming up in 2 weeks. These are really exciting times. And, this Kenny Omega piece, him adding another title, is just another stepping stone, another building block to that point where we finally have this epicenter, this mesh of wrestling communities getting together and battling each other. It's very exciting news.
Yeah, and I think that, I hope that anybody that's listening, I think if you're an Impact fan, an AEW fan, a WWE fan, I think that's something that you and I, especially with the way we talk about pro wrestling and pick our talking points, I think we've made it pretty clear that we try not to stand behind any one of these brands, but the more that they give them these, I guess, take away the leash, right, and let them do whatever they want. Those are the kind of brands that I will finally start to back. But I still think, that's the long and short of it. I think if we were still, let's keep ourselves arm's length away from a brand. Like, always, with any brand, with any walk of life, with anything you're doing, anything you're purchasing, just stay over there. But it's the other thing, like these performers, like maybe I say Kenny Omega's building his brand, but he also, almost dies in the ring. So maybe it's okay to back him and not back, Tony Khan and Vince McMahon, because they're millionaires and billionaires. So it's just stop being fans of them.
And I can't wait for that Moxley and Nagata. I can't believe that's happening, and I can't believe they're going to give it away for free in 2 weeks.
It would be interesting to see like what New Japan is thrown up there. Like from that perspective of AEW not really pushing Impact Rebellion, but they'll push their guy once he comes back as the triple champion. But is New Japan going to say, make sure you tune in to AEW? See that title on the line. Just an interesting little tidbit there, I think. Because I think just to put the capper on that, that's where this move is pushing us again to what I call the ideal in pro wrestling. Because you get closer to the territories and stuff, right? Like then you've got your favorite guy going to whatever he wants to do, what works with his life right now. It's a pretty nice world for those guys if that was the case. All right, Mike, should we jump into it?
Oh man, is it time for the Tuesday, Wednesday friendship festivities?
Yeah.
Now that the war is over. Oh man.
Gosh, what did I call it? I called it like the friendship. Because I tried to steal from Chris Jericho, right? Wasn't that the friendship?
Oh, Festival of Friendship?
Yeah, Festival of Friendship. So right, I think I called it the midweek Festival of Friendship is our segment. So we're gonna talk AEW and NXT, and we're gonna pick our top 3 moments. Mike, I had so much time because we had a babysitter this week in the house. I actually have a dishonorable mention. I have everything labeled. I have it highlighted.
Look at this guy.
Yeah, look at those numbers there. I can't miss a thing. All right. But with that, Mike, I'm happy to go first here because I like the show. I think AEW probably had the better of the 2 shows.
I was captivated. So bad moment number 3 for next Extra Time Wrestling. What do you got for us?
Number 3 for me, Mike. I've got the Grizzled Young Vets meeting Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher.
Before you get into it, can we hear just one Zach Gibson impression? It doesn't have to. It has to be under 10 seconds. Here we go.
I like how you set these.
Might have to step away from the microphone for this one. Here we go.
You set these up so that I don't even want to yell in the house. My baby girl is trying to sleep. God damn it.
It's worth it, man. Wake her up.
I can't even hear it right now. This isn't.
Just give us an and soon.
I can't. I can't. I'm not feeling it right now. You go for it, Mike.
This is a really good man. This is a really good James Drake impression. I'm not. You do it, Zach. You do it so good. You do it. The man with the James Drake impression. Don't feel embarrassed. I liked it. I felt like I was in NXT. That was really.
God damn it! Are you gonna?
Soon to be. And don't look down in shame, man. Hang your head. You're the James Drake. That's
you just said hang. Don't look down. Hang your head.
Don't Hangman Page your head, man. Look up. Look up and Brian Cage yourself. There you go.
All right. Well, I'm excited to. Now that I have.
Well, we gotta get some ribs out there, man.
I've got no ego.
It's almost time for the weekend ribs. Woo!
Yeah, so that was a fun segment. I liked it. Your turn, Mike.
No, Matt. What was your favorite part of the segment? What stood out for you? Come on.
Look, this is something where you could see Timothy Thatcher was excited to have this promo. He was excited to get out there and go face to face with the grizzled young vets, and Ciampa was too. But Thatcher has that goofy smile on his face. He could not have been more excited to play the "If you hate Zach Gibson, shoes off." I don't understand why so many people were, I guess, not vocally, verbally, because they were tapping away at their keyboard, but why they were so upset that Thatcher would bring something up that happens in the UK. I think it's a brilliant chant. It's so goofy and off the wall, and it fits that tag team. Like, they try to be so serious, and the anti-grizzled young vets chant is "If you hate Gibson, shoes off." And it's just... what? And they're, and he gets furious about it. He jumps over the ropes and yells at the fans to shut up and put their shoes on. And Thatcher's trying to bring it back. I'm all for it. And I think I said last week, that was one of my honorable mentions, not a dishonorable mention, because these are four of my favorite guys in pro wrestling right now. So I get to see the ball work together. And I always say, like, when I pick my top threes, I'm going to be a little selfish here. But yeah, this is something that these guys are already hitting all the, it's like the best ofs with what their promo work's going to be going forward. And this is going to be great for the grizzled young vets who don't just need to skate right into, I guess, the championship run, because they can do this and have an amazing time. And for anybody that's doubted their ability to carry this division, they'll take away those doubts. Mike, number 3 for AEW.
I talked about it with Warren yesterday, and it was people losing their minds over Hangman Page taking a 3-second tan for Brian Cage's benefit. People are out of their minds.
Mike, can you hit us? Hot tag, Mike? Can you hit us with a Brian Cage impression real quick? Just 10 seconds. You got. This is a podcast.
It's more of a visual. It's a visual. I was flexing really hard and a vein popped in my neck. But it feels like Brian Cage has wow, maybe he's won a match since I've been watching AEW. And it's not that I think he's a loser. I just don't think I can't picture him in a solo one-on-one match of any merit. I've seen him squash a few guys. Those don't really count. But he actually got to defeat the Hangman. And the way AEW just keeps plugging away at this, you gotta climb the charts. You gotta be a chart topper if you want to get that title match. And Hangman was up there, and they let Brian Cage, knock him off that pedestal. And I thought it was a really good move. We can punt on the Hangman getting his big opportunity. Get Brian in there, see if he's gonna, tussle with our boy Darby Allin. It was a great match. To borrow Stone Cold, his description of wrestling, it was good and it was nice. The boys did a good job in it, but it's madness. There's so much value in getting Brian Cage over as a monster on this roster, because for some reason we've gotten away from having a giant beast in the men's division. They've done a good job of building up Nyla Rose for the women. Sheeta is a monster. Like, she rarely ever looks weak. But the men, we kind of let that fall to the wayside. You can count. I guess you could count Omega, but that's more of like a transcendent championship monster rather than unbeatable, pristine, pristinely booked winning god for the men's division. So I'm pumped to see Brian get a win. I don't think Hangman was done a disservice, and I don't. He's Teflon. He's not going anywhere, Matt. Moment number 2 for next Extra Time Wrestling.
This could have easily been number 1. I think my number 1 and number 2 are they could either one could take it. But the winner. Sorry, this is my number 2, not the winner. Jesus. It got to this spot for a completely different reason than number 1 is number 1. But it's because of the aftermath, and maybe I should say what it is. Mercedes Martinez picking up the DQ win over Dakota Kai. So she gets the DQ win because Raquel looks like she's going back heel. And I'm happy with it. I think that's where Raquel is in her element. I think at the time they kind of they gave her like this short stint as a face because we were all kind of rooting for her just from this perspective of this is a great time for her to win. And man, did she look happy to hold that title. And she, goddamn, is so happy to be in this position. But this was a way to spin this back into Raquel's a badass. And that's what helps sell her character. She is a badass because Mike, I don't want to say she's green in the ring, but there's some clumsiness there. So it always seems to find its way mixed in there. And it gets a little distracting in her matches. So she needs to stay with the tough persona where it fits for her to have just a powerful finish. So then that happens. She gets the win and we all believe it. Also, to go along with her turning heel again, this gives us the best chance, Mike, to have Dakota Kai finally win the NXT Women's Championship with a face chase, which I could not be more excited about. And I think the boring thing would have been Dakota just kicking another partner's head off. And Mike, then I brought this up on Twitter, also brought up to me after I said that. How about Tegan Nox comes back as a heel and feuds with Dakota Kai after that? Honestly, the dominoes falling that way, it would be too great. And we're getting into the realm of ultra super duper fantasy booking, going three feuds deep. So, I will temper my excitement, but ultimately, because of all of that great storytelling and what it could mean for the future, that's why it's getting high marks. So Mike, your number 2 segment of the week.
This is another one where we kind of had to fan ourselves on Twitter because we were like, oh, it's going to happen. Oh, I can't wait to see it. Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley finally got one over on Kenny Omega. And we're going to see Eddie and Mox in a real tag team match where I'm pretty sure, like 70% sure there's going to be an outcome. And the last time we got that, we got just a sampling, just a tease before, it was just a schmaz and Eddie got, kayfabe injured and, they tried to write him off TV. So this, idea of 2 of our favorite wrestlers, becoming a tag team. My God, maybe they'll start challenging for the tag team titles, and it'll be the most electrifying tag team division in the history of professional wrestling, with Eddie and Mox doing whiskeys and cutting promos, on a couch in the back area. I just want them together. I love their friendship. I know that unfortunately I had to start because of the Sparkler event. But my God, maybe that was the best thing that ever happened to us because we're going to get Kingston and Mox in a tag match against that darn Michael Nakazawa and Kenny Omega. I'm so excited for next week, but much like my buddies on the tweets, on the Facebooks, we can't wait to see if this pays off and we get an extended run of Mox and Eddie being a tag team. Matt, are you ready for the dishonorable mention?
Did you forget?
No, I was bracing myself. What do you got?
Okay. The dishonorable mention, I'm going to go with Ember Moon, Shotzi, going up against Leah and Jesse. Ends with Indy and Candice coming in for the interference. And then just, kind of a waste of something that I always like to see. Ember Moon and Shotzi matches. I think they're always fun. But ultimately we're continuing the feud, but it does look like we're going to get a triple threat tag NXT women's tag title match, because there's no way, with the way that Aaliyah and Jessie celebrated at the end of their not even really a DQ finish. It was just that Indy and Candice took out Ember Moon and Shotzi, and it just they celebrated as if it was a DQ win, but it wasn't in any way, shape, or form. It's just that Ember and Shotzi were down, so they held the titles in the air. I like it. It was fine, but I got to pick something. So there's my dishonorable mention. Mike, number one. It's always hard for me to wiggle my way through that since NXT is so good. Legado del Fantasma defeats MS Kushida by pinfall. Mike, if there's
was that me trying to pronounce a hockey player? What happened over there, man?
It's MSK and Kushida.
Oh, I see. Miss Kushida. Kushida. Yeah, there you go. Doesn't roll off the tongue like RK Bro, which another tag team I'm really excited about.
If you're supposed to say MSK Ushida, that doesn't work. But no, it was cute. Anywhoozles, fantastic match, but ultimately this goes back to everything we've been saying the last few weeks about Legado del Fantasma and Santos Escobar. That guy is a super duper star, and the way they let them shine and get the victory, and I mean, they do it with such style, and their luchador technique has more, like, as much grace as Rey Fenix, to be completely honest. And at some point we're going to start realizing that, as soon as people can separate themselves from the brands, and we can stop like just discounting a team like Legado del Fantasma because they're in NXT or WWE. Those guys have so much freaking talent. And Santos Escobar is so good at selling everything he wants to do, at like taking this the whole brand over. And the fact that they're bringing this all to the NXT Cruiserweight title is nuts. I mean, this is as good as when Pac was holding the Cruiserweight title. Like, I think that was the last time it was super relevant. You did have the Buddy Murphy stint, but even then, like, then he started fighting Tozawa, and we were just kind of like, oh, that's happening tonight? Oh, okay. Santos Escobar is putting the Cruiserweight title in the main event scene, and Kushida is a fantastic wrestler. But make no mistake, this is Legado del Fantasma and Santos Escobar. This is their segment. Every time they're on the show, it's just elite level wrestling. And like I said, Santos Escobar is destined to run this company. And I hope fans give him a shot, because I know the pro wrestling fan is not keen to anybody who is an American. So let's hope that they give Santos a shot, because he's making the Cruiserweight title one of the most relevant titles on NXT television. So that takes a lot of effort. That takes a lot of skill. Takes good in-ring talent, and takes a lot of good mic work, and he's got all of it. So yeah, he'll just continue holding the torch. I might just continue putting whatever segment he's in as number one, because he's doing such a great job. Mike, dishonorable mention for
for ew. Man, it was no contest on this week's dishonorable mention. Definitely dishonorable. It was the Nightmare Factory. Dustin Rhodes, Lee Johnson, and Billy Gunn, my God, versus the Factory. QT Marshall, which that name still pops me every time. Aaron Solo and Nick Camarado, who, he's coming for Cesaro. All right, Cesaro had the chest hair market cornered, and Kamatoro says, "Not today." Man, that let that fur fly. I don't know who this match was for. There's too many guys 50 and above in it. There's a lot of youth on that roster that we given TV time and feuds to. So I didn't need a lot from this one. Moment number one, though, it was no contest. Matt, they've had Emmy-worthy performances, in abundance over the past, 6 months, as they've briefly feuded, joined forces, broken up, and now have declared war on each other. Matt, it's Chris Jericho and MJF. They were at the peak of their powers this week. There's so many different ways to cut a promo. MJF is a wizard on that microphone. He could do so many, like low hanging fruit, like themes or theses with Chris Jericho, being old. But instead, he doubled down on.
I thought you said feces. Sorry.
Yeah, low hanging feces. I hate when it's Dingleberry coming out. But yeah, MJF, he could have just called Jericho old. But that's not what he was. That's not what he was doing. He didn't take the low hanging fruit, Matt. He said, "Heavy is the crown," and he said, "Chris, you got eyeballs into this company. You helped build this company and get people to watch it, and all that pressure of being the guy, the attraction for this show. I can see it's wearing on you. I can see the pressure. Your eyes are red and bloodshot. You look like you don't get any sleep because you're worrying about taking care of this company. And if you fail, it fails. But don't worry, Chris. I'm here for you. I'm going to be the one to take that spot. I'm going to do it. We don't need you anymore." And just that power declaration is such a unique take on everything that they're doing for these two guys. Sammy Guevara had a great spot. They're gonna do some wild, like War Games style cage match. It looks like they haven't officially explained. I think what the Blood and Guts contest is gonna look like between Pinnacle and Inner Circle, but. Sammy, easily the smallest guy of the 10, has volunteered to go in first because he wants to destroy everybody. Jericho out there saying, "We're not going to give up. You're going to have to kill us." And then he gets in MJF's face and says, "You're going to have to kill us."
I watched that when you shared it, and it looked to me like a botch. And I had to go back and watch the whole thing, stretch out on either side so I could get the whole context. Because I thought at first that's what you were sharing was that Jericho said the same thing twice.
Oh, no. I thought he was doing it for emphasis.
He did. No, he was.
I think
I fudged it up, but I didn't fudge it up. I just misinterpreted what was going on.
I'm such a mark for that show. I was blown away. I can't wait. And I'm stunned that kind of promo work went into an event that's going to be for free on TNT, that I don't have to shell out $60, because for that promo, I would have shelled out the $60. That's how excited I am for this payoff match. It's going to be fantastic.
I'm happy that this is still happening after NXT changed nights. AEW didn't say, "Well, we can save all this stuff for our next pay-per-view." How huge is that decision was made for the pro wrestling fan? I think that's something that I hope people don't forget while they're watching it. Hey, we all get to watch this at the same time now. It wasn't something where they said, "We're only doing these cool matches because we're trying to get more people to watch us instead of them." Yeah. They just got to figure out a way to get Joe Biden on the show so that they can stay above 1 million. I'm just kidding, because it was a dumb topic again today on Twitter that they missed the $1 million the million viewers because of Joe Biden's speech. It's no fucking shit. How is that a point to even bring up? People are saying the streak is over. It's that's not how this works. They're not sitting there looking at streaks. They're going to see that little dip and they're going to go, "Oh yeah, well, all of America was watching this." It's just, oh God, you guys stop with the ratings bullshit.
Yeah, sometimes just turn off Twitter, I think. If that was the debate today, man, I would just turn it off for a few minutes. Yeah.
I wish that there was some way, is there a way we can just hope people watch our YouTube channel and not have to tweet it out?
Yeah, let's just get on TikTok. We'll just do TikTok and YouTube, I think.
Please watch our podcast.
All right. Matt, are we ready to sail off into the sunset?
Yeah, I think that's going to be our ad for tomorrow.
The dance routine?
Please watch our podcast. Oh, you know what? You guys can't see my hips or my legs. It just looks like I'm shaking up here.
Yeah, you just look like Kenny Loggins is playing in the background, and
I'm trying to
look like the little Caddyshack groundhog.
All right, now I got to pull that GIF for our Ed. All right. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Again, you know what? Maybe I could pull this up, but head on over to bodpodcast.com, brothersofdiscussion.com. You can find us at BOD Podcast on Twitter. And like I mentioned before, if you go to bodpodcast.com and head to the shop button, you can be a proud owner of one of these cool looking t-shirts. Look at that sweet graphic. Let's pull one up. Less talking, more hot tags. Look at that. Matt made that graphic.
Man, probably man, awesome.
Look at that. I should put a butt crack right there. That's what I should have done. That would have been funny. Yeah, check out those t-shirts. Look at all these different colors you could put them in. Look at that. That's pretty. There's black. Ooh. That's my favorite. You got your blues. All right, now it's bad podcasting. But go check that out. It's the shop button on bodpodcast.com. You can find all of our cool stuff to help support the show and help us keep growing here. All right, yeah, let's sail off into the sunset. We almost broke an hour. Oh, well.
Yep.
Toodaloo, everybody.
All right. And soon.